Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classic Less Non-Classics. This is episode number 1714 and Doubleshot number 1608. I have two Marvel trades for you. First up is a miniseries alternate universe crossover that came out last year. You're thinking, really? One from last year. Now, I've only covered roughly, I'd say, I've covered King in Black, which that miniseries was amazing. War of the Bounty Hunters, the main event was amazing. I haven't reviewed yet the tie-ins yet, but the main event was awesome. I love the fact what Charles Shaw did with that book. I have you a little bit of Hellfire Gala, which some people might point as one of the more weaker crossovers of weakest stuff happened last year. And I've also Extreme Carnage, which was a series of one-shots that came out last year, which, in my opinion, the only reason Marvel probably did it is because of the success of Annihilation Scourge. But this one is just a quick 7-issue miniseries, plus this also contains a one-shot called Heroes Return. Now, the reason why, this is basically Heroes Reborn, Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Yep, of course this trade does collect the initial Heroes Reborn 7-issue miniseries, plus the Hero Return one-shot. Now, this particular event was basically done as a celebration of Heroes Reborn, which was released back in 1996. I read one of those particular volumes, the Iron Man one. Actually, I reviewed two of them, Iron Man and Avengers. I'm reviewing the other two at a later point. I have the trades next to me on my bed, but I'm not going to review those just yet. But this is the event that came out last. This is one of his alternate universe ones where a lot of it is altered because of stuff. Excuse me. Now, it's a good thing Marvel hasn't experimented with this in quite a while. You're probably thinking, when was the last time Marvel experimented basically with alternate reality for a brief replacement for the Marvel Universe? The last time I could think of was back in during the events of the awfulness that was Secret Empire. This matter of fact, the book had really good artwork. The story was really bad. Yes, by far the most hated story of 2017. This story, this came out just a few years later. It was done really much better. Simply put, in this reality, the Avengers did not exist. There's no mention of Fantastic Four or the X-Men. No mention of them at all. It's mostly put the Squadron Supreme America, the group that was created by Jason Aaron, which is basically another alternate version of the classic Squadron Supreme America, which, by the way, this must be like the third or fourth version. We have versions of like Hyperion, which, by the way, this Hyperion is not the version that Jonathan Hickman created. This is a complete original character, along with characters like Wizard, Dr. Spectrum, Power Princess, and I think also Blur as well. Now, the last version of Squadron that showed up was a version created by the awesome James Robinson. They had a very brief ongoing series that got canceled to 15 issues. Yes, that was something Marvel loved doing for Robinson. Keep canceling his books after only 15 frickin' issues. Well, with the exception of Nick Fury and Cable. Cable actually continued for a little bit even after he left. Nick Fury got canceled. But this is something Jason Aaron worked on. Now, as far as I can tell, when it comes to last year, mind you, this is actually one of a few things outside of the main Avengers book he worked on. As for ongoing series, I think Avengers is the only thing currently he's working on. Now, when they launched this miniseries last year, they did this right after the Into the Phoenix storyline had just wrapped up in Avengers. And here's the thing, the Avengers book went on hiatus for a few months because of this event. Yes, Marvel put their flagship title, the premier title that basically gets them a boatload of money every year, and by far one of Marvel's best-selling books. And since I've been reading comic books, well, the runs I read of Avengers, none have been bad. Well, for the main team anyways. Some might think, Hickman's run was bad. No, I love Hickman's run. It was awesome. You might also think, okay, what about Mark Waid's run? Really fun. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Didn't last very long, though. No, it only lasted shockingly, this only lasted for about 2 years. back about 2 or 3 years. It ended with the No Surrender crossover, and then of course we had the Jason Aaron run, which has been going strong for 3 years. Still going, surprisingly, despite the fact that last year we had several writers wrap up their runs last year, like for Nick Spencer, Amazing Spider-Man, tying a co-host both on Black Panther and Captain America. There's also Donny Coast on Venom. I'm trying to think what other books basically had wrapped up their writers. Al Ewing wrapped his run on Immortal Hulk. Yeah, a lot of the really big name titles wrapped up basically their writers' runs for the book. And with the exception of Amazing Spider-Man, all these books have hit the restart button. Yes, seriously. Amazing Spider-Man has continued for a little bit, but beyond, wow, the storyline is not very good. Which I will discuss in the future. Oh, don't worry about that. In the case of Heroes Reborn. Okay, get this. The Avengers are the premier superheroes. And here's the thing. The President of the United States is not, well, at the time this came out, it's not Trump. It's not the idiot in the White House, which I'm not going to mention his name because he's an idiot and I do not like him. I didn't vote for him at all. It's Phil Coulson, who, by the way, has J. Jonah Jameson part of his cabinet. Yes, J. Jonah Jameson. Also, you're probably curious, okay, where's the Hulk in this reality? He's dead. He got killed by frickin' Hyperion in one of the tie-in books. Yep. Now, as for what happened with the... Here's a shocker for you about this event. There are only 2 people who actually remember the Prime reality, aside from Phil Coulson. Which, apparently, he's the one responsible. It's implied he might be responsible for this. But, mostly, you can kind of say Mephisto was responsible for this. How in the world did Phil Coulson accomplish this? Alter reality. What would you think? The Cosmic Cube! Yes, seriously. Yeah, somebody got his hands on the Cosmic Cube. Now, the one thing I personally have not liked about Jason Aaron's run is turning Phil Coulson into a villain. Yes, a guy who is well respected. Like, his actor is... People love the Phil Coulson character in the movies. When he appeared in the Phase 1, the Age of TV show, which, for some people, he's like the best character in the entire show, which, yeah, I do agree. Clark Gregg did a great job playing that character, though I haven't watched the show since like season 4. I didn't watch the seasons that came afterwards. And did I personally have a problem with Marvel adding him in when the writer of Battle Scars added him to the Marvel Universe? No, I had no problem with it. And here's the strange thing, though. At the time this miniseries came out, it only had been 10 years since he'd been introduced to the Marvel Universe. Yes, 10 years. And you're thinking, really? And this is the way you celebrate 10 years of a beloved character from the MCU in the Marvel Universe, making the main villain of a crossover. So, Thor is deemed to be a myth. Iron Man is like barely seeing the story. Oh, you might be asked, okay, who are the 2 people who remember the reality and knows that reality has been altered? This might surprise you. Okay, one is not a big surprise, especially since this character probably, thanks to his probably ability to be a host to, Echo. Yeah, she knows reality's been altered. She's the host of Phoenix Force. Who was the other, might ask? Yeah, this one I thought was quite weird. I would have thought Wolverine, but my guess is Jason Aaron didn't want to do that. Here's my personal theory. Because the reason why I think he didn't want to use Wolverine, because Bendis did that back in House of M. So, who did he choose to be the male superhero who actually remembers Prime reality? Blade! Yes, freaking Blade! Yes, a character who, here's the thing, prior to this particular prior to his run of Avengers, I don't think he's ever written Blade. No, not that I could think of, no. And apparently he remembers. Of course, Starband, of course, is still a baby. Because, well, if you wonder what happened to the Hickman version, the one he created, he apparently died in Marvel Legacy #1. Yeah, Aaron killed him off because he wrote Marvel Legacy #1. Yeah, he died during a fight with Rob Reyes Ghost Rider. Which, by the way, Bob Reyes is in this story, which that's a bit of a surprise. And there's a version of Peter Parker in here, and he does not become Spider-Man. Spider-Man himself does show up at the end in the Heroes Return one-shot. And this particular event has got a great pace to it. And here's something though. Unlike House of M, which actually had like issues from actual ongoing series tying into it, this one, no. There is no ongoing series tying into it. You have a few miniseries, a few one-shots. But yeah, no ongoing. None of the ongoing series are tied into this one. No other series but hiatus for this event. Not the first time Marvel has done this. The first time they ever did this was Age of Apocalypse, which is a really good storyline. They did it a few more times since then, but they've never really done this very much. It's not like Marvel does this every year. I mean, after Age of Apocalypse was the next time they did House of M. They also did it for Age of X. Age of X, which I've only viewed one trade of that story. This one, obviously, and there's a little bit you can see that in Secret Empire. And, well, Secret Wars. But that's it. Yeah, and of course, the Squadron Supreme are a more violent version of the Avengers. That's why they're portrayed in here. And eventually, the characters do come back. Steve Rogers, at one point, was frozen for even longer than he was in the original timeline. And apparently, Wakanda is deemed a myth, which I thought was kind of weird. Yeah, and over the course of this series, Blade is basically trying to reawaken the Avengers to realize, oh crap, reality has been altered. Let's go fight the Squadron Supreme. Yeah, and this is not, and they have the big battle in the finale, which is really good. And eventually, reality is restored. And what happens to Phil Coulson? He goes to hell. Well, basically, he goes limbo. He goes to Mephisto's realm, where he's still there. It's been about a year. But I gotta admit, this series was fun. I loved it. Now you're probably thinking, who did the artwork for this thing? Well, mainly it was done by, well, the main book, basically, for Heroes Reborn and Heroes Number 1, and backup stories, it's basically Ed McGuinness. Issue 2 is Dale Cohen with Carlos Maggio. Issue 3 is Federico Beniti. 4, James Stoke. 5, R.M. Guerrero. Issue 6, Erica Russo. And issue 7, Aaron Cooter. Yep. But yeah, an absolute really good event. And I do highly recommend checking this out because it is really, really good. And right after this, the Avengers go back to basically before. Oh, by the way, what do I give? Heroes Reborn. The Return. The Age of the Earth's Mightiest Heroes. I give that a 9.5 out of 10. It's a damn good crossover. Yeah, that's one thing interesting on Marvel last year, with the exception of King of Black. There wasn't really big, epic crossovers that really altered Marvel Universe, basically shake it down to its core. That's the thing people have basically begged Marvel to stop doing more than one of these events per year. And they kind of did it in 2019. They kind of broke their rule in 2019 when they had stuff like Absolute Carnage and War of the Realms. But here's the thing. Both were really good. Had a little bit of consequences afterwards. And you're probably thinking, okay, like, what happened after this event? You might ask. Well, the Avengers just deal with more stuff in their own book, surprisingly. The Squad Supreme disband, and of course, Nighthawk, who actually was one of the two who actually escaped being put into custody by the U.S. government. He has not been seen since then. Nighthawk has occasionally popped up since in a few other books, but that's simply been it for him. Alright, moving on to some Greg Pak. Coming out in 2010, we have Incredible Hulk, Volume 3, World War Hulks. This collects Incredible Hulk 609 to 611, and a couple one-shots. Yeah, it collects, well, let's see if I can find it here. This book collects, it collects a tale from Incredible Hulk 312. Now, the thing with this one, they also collect some stuff. Mostly this one, it just more did with the whole War Hulks crossover where we take on the intelligence stuff. Of course, in this particular thing, we have two big things happen in these issues. These 3 issues that happen in this trade. One, we reveal who the Red She-Hulk is. The mystery with her didn't last as long as, let's say, Red Hulk, who he was, which really general something about Ross, which that made total sense to happen. A lot of people pointed out, though, Betty Ross, who was revealed to be Red She-Hulk, made absolutely no sense. Like, why the heck would you do this? No idea. It's kind of weird. Also, this event sees Doc Samson, who becomes insane, becomes simply called Samson, goes insane, and then he dies. Yes, Doc Samson dies in this particular storyline. And with the exception of a brief revival in Chaos War, the guy stays dead for 6 years. Well, until off-panel he gets resurrected in Civil War II by Bendis, retconning something Greg Pak did. Yes, Bendis retconning something that another writer did. Like, wow, that's nothing new. Like he did that with Christopher Summers when he brought him back for the Trial of Jean Grey crossover, which happened from All New X-Men and Guardians of the Galaxy, both books he wrote at the time. It was good he kept him that long, but wow. No explanation like, oh look, it's Doc Samson. He's alive. It took Al Ewing basically 2 years after this to explain how the heck he came back. Well, it was mainly due to the Green Door. Yep. Scar basically doesn't fight against intelligence, and that's it. It's just a really good stuff here. I mean, Greg Pak is just a really good writer. It's something, though, this run lasts longer than his original run. His original run was basically Planet Hulk, War Hulk, and, of course, the tie-in, and that was it. For 2 years. Actually, like a year. He came back for this run. And this run lasted almost as long, even as the third run. Third run lasted for about 3 years. This one was about the same length. Yep. I love this book. It's really good. Now, this book surprisingly also contains a backup feature. You're thinking, a backup feature? Yes, there's a backup feature in the book. Yeah, mostly put for this one. This backup feature, which by the way is in 3 parts. This whole thing picks up right after Realm of Kings, Son of Hulk left off. Where in that miniseries, Krucka, I think his name is, the one who is Hulk's second son. He takes control of Jarella's world with the refugees of Scar. And the whole big point of this backup story, it sets up the Dark Sun storyline. Yep, that is mainly the gist of this thing. It's basically set up for that one. And it's in 3 parts. It's not very long. The first part is roughly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, they're all roughly about 8 pages. It's really short. And I don't know if there was a particular standalone trade for Realm of Kings, Son of Hulk, where this actually just a continuation of that. And mostly put, he just basically just after dealing with whatever goes on here in this thing, he just goes to Earth and deals with, well, what happens in Dark Sun. That's mostly all this is, just pure stuff for that. 312 is a tie-in to Secret Wars 2. That was a sequel to the original Secret Wars. This one was done by Bill Mansell and artwork by Mike Mignola. Yes, Mike Mignola, the guy who created Hellboy, and Jerry Connick. This is mostly put just, well, looks like to be like, oh, like a baby, and it's basically a horror story. And I think this came just after the Crossroads story arc that basically started with issue 300, and this, I think it came just after that. This mostly put just explains, it just shows off Bruce Banner's terrible childhood, where his father was abusive to his mom, and apparently he was putting something together on Christmas. His father breaks it. This, of course, is Brian Banner. Yes, Bruce's father. Though they later changed his name to David later on because of the Incredible Hulk TV show. Yep. It's just mostly just the thing about his childhood. But it's a really good, well-told issue on the part of Bill Mansell. Nothing against him at all. The guy is one really good writer. And I kind of wish, basically, he was still writing today. Because the guy was really, really good. Yeah. I love every single bit of his work. That story itself, I give that a 10 out of 10. The rest of the stuff in here is still pretty good. The only reason why it's only 3 issues in this trade, because the issues themselves are really long. And this stays like this until just after the next storyline, Dark Side. After that, it basically becomes standard size issues. Yeah, for some reason, it started with issue 600 to about 617. Yeah, for 18 issues straight, we gotta have a backup story in the book. Which, one of my next comic course, I will be discussing those backup features starting from issue 600 to 608. Yep. In the case of this book, 9.5 out of 10. Just really good. Yep. So yeah, that's a particular view. Next one's going to be Attack on Titan. Okay, next video. Bye.